Today on Arts 24, from Paris busker to prize-winning prestige and the face of French brand Givenchy, British composer and singer-songwriter Benjamin Clementine has stopped off in the studio to talk about his third album and upcoming European tour.
Here we go again. Here we go again. Up the boat goes, till gravity intervene. Do the best you can, but nothing's guaranteed.
Benjamin, hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to the show. You were first here 10 years ago.
It was, yes.
Since that time, you won the prestigious Mercury Music Prize for your first album. You were named Knight of the Order of Arts and Letters by the French government in 2019 in recognition of your contribution to the arts. France seems to have played a big role in your musical journey.
Yeah, certainly. France has always been kind to me from the very beginning. Going to Paris was a tough decision, but then I had to kind of make it.
Why did you decide to come to Paris in the first place from London?
Well, because it was very close to the closest non-English speaking country next to England, and also obviously for the people that really influenced me, mostly in my music, were French, so I thought it was right.
Well, that was like sort of 12, 13 years ago. You came, you lived in a hostel when you first started, before being spotted and signed. You were busking on the streets here in Paris. You became a regular in the Paris metro where people could watch you perform. So when you come back here, like more than a decade later, what's it like to be playing in quite a prestigious place like the Salle Pleyel?
Well, it's I think it's the same.
Oh yeah.
Personally, yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're singing in front of people anyway. And no one is different from anyone. We're all pretty much equal. So it's just perspectives, really. But it's, of course, it's an honor to be off the streets and to be in front of people well dressed and well mannered, compared to drunkards I met in the trains who will kick my pots and whatnot. Yeah.
You're performing at the Salle Pleyel, and your wife and Florence Clementine will also perform. You've made music together under the name the Clementines. And what's it like touring and performing together?
Well, it's tough because sometimes it gets really personal. I'm a very professional person, but obviously she's my wife, and I'm her husband, so sometimes there's a bit of a clash. But it's good. It's healthy.
And the kids are touring with you. Your 3 children are on the tour bus. How's that going?
Well, it's quite hard, but we have to keep fighting and make
Keeping
sure
the family together.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure that we keep the family together, and yeah.
Well, the new record is called "And I Have Been," and you've said it's about love, inspired by your own love story with your wife. Tell us more about that.
Well, actually, growing up, I never really understood what love was, because I don't think I grew up with a loving what's called family.
That was
finally,
back in London.
Back in London, yeah. So finally, when I met my wife, and she showed me that one could love someone so deeply. I thought to myself, okay, well, I suppose that's the reason why people sing about love. so then it inspired me to start writing about how she felt and how I feel, and then when I had children, it's I have a responsibility. Love becomes a responsibility, So this is a part 1 of the album. So the next one will be out next year, which delves deeper into fatherhood and whatnot. Yeah.
It's part of a trilogy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, the lead single on this one, the first one, is called Genesis. We're going to listen to it. Introduce it for us.
Well, Genesis is it's when my son was born, I felt this rush of what's called uncertainty and lost. because I realized that I didn't know much about my origins, and that my son will eventually ask me these questions. So I had to turn around and go and search for that. My father unfortunately passed away a couple of weeks before my son came, so that was quite a hard moment for me. But so Genesis is just to say that, hey, you can go as far as you want, but you should always remember where you came from.
Okay, well, let's take a listen. This is Genesis.
Trapped and free, forever stuck with me on a ride, settling tides, trapped and free. Whatever you do, whichever way you choose, we are trapped and free.
We're here in the studio with Benjamin Clementine. Now, that was from your first album out of a trilogy, your third album in total. Tell us what we can expect from the next two. You said the second one is about fatherhood. What about the third one?
The third one is so the next one is about fatherhood, but it's more into the darker side of fatherhood. There's a lot of postpartum that comes with also being a father. There's a lot of mental gymnastics and change that happens when you finally have to put food on the plate, not for you, but for everyone else, So that's that, and when other new families arrive, and how you have to balance taking what respecting and balance respect, and when one is too involved in your children, or those things. And the third one is like a turnaround, 360 turnaround, to say that, hey, you know what, everything's going to be fine.
I will look forward to that one, especially. You're in Paris during Fashion Week. In the past, you've actually played catwalk concerts for Burberry. You're also the face of the French brand Givenchy since March for the perfumes. Are you interested in fashion? What's it like being a model?
Well, I'm not a model. I'm not a model. I'm an artist. But I think that it's an honor to find such brands be interested in an artist like me, because normally artists who are appreciated or get into brands are artists who are entertainers, and I'm not that. I'm just a guy who's just interested in little things, and it's always good to have brands like Givenchy coming along, because then they help in me producing my work financially, which is, I think, important to artists who don't get their recognition they deserve. I'm not saying I'm that artist anymore. I'm not saying that, but it's just it's an honor. It's an honor. Yeah.
And I wanted to talk a bit about the acting as well,
Okay.
because you were in the Oscar-winning film Dune a couple of years ago. How did that come about? What was that experience like with actors like Timothée Chalamet and Jason Momoa?
Well, my American tour agent, who was working with me in music at that time, when COVID happened, asked me if I had some time to think about maybe auditioning for music, for a film. And obviously my first thought was, get out of here. I'm not an actor. But then eventually, my wife advised me to see what happens, and I went for it, and I didn't get it for a different character. So we came back to England. We were in America at that time. We came back to England, and after a couple of months, Denis Villeneuve called and said that he's got a part for me to play, and so I should just get my stuff and go to Budapest. So that's how it came about.
And you just finished filming with Steve McQueen as well. Tell us about that.
Well, this film is about World War II. Set
Or the Blitz.
Blitz, yeah.
Or Blitz.
Yeah, Blitz. It's set in London during World War II, and it's basically seeing the war from the perspective of a child. You know, it was such an experience, and I had to finally work with Steve because I met him 8 years ago, actually, and he's the one that firstly wanted to ask me if I could act. You know, and I was like, Steve, you know, I'm only a singer. I'm not a. But then, you know, he kind of like ticked that, you know, fire. It made me kind of curious to, you know,
Planted a seed.
planted a seed. You know, why is he saying that? You know, he's Steve McQueen, and then I thought about that for a long time, and then, you know, and then finally he came, and, you know, we will now work together. So I hope we work together more. He's such a great man. Yeah.
Okay. Benjamin, it's been a pleasure to have you. We always play out with our guests' cultural pick of the moment. What have you chosen for us?
Well, I've chosen Paul Klee. He's basically an artist who delves in cubism and color theory, and he was also a teacher at the Bauhaus School of Architecture in Germany. And you know, for me personally, I'm not a color enthusiast because I'm partially colorblind, but I like it when people like, you know, Julian Schnabel and Paul Klee. I like how they mix colors.
We should definitely go and see this exhibition. It's called Paul Klee Paintings to Music.
Yeah.
I hope you can have time while you're here at the Atelier de Lumière. It's on in Paris until January. Benjamin, thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us. You're playing tonight, Tuesday, the 26th of September at the Salle Pleyel in Paris. Some people watching, that date will have passed. Next, you'll be in Brussels, Utrecht, London, and Dusseldorf. The album is called And I Have Been. Thanks for watching. See you next time.